All right, this is the follow up, and we are following up on a live video I did a couple weeks or months ago. I am here today with the great Rona Siddiqui. Rona, what's going on?
Hey, George, not much.
I'm doing well. Why don't we start by why don't you tell the audience what it is that you do, and perhaps give us a little bit of a breakdown of what your first musical theater gig was.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm what they call now a multi hyphenate. So I'm a composer lyricist, and I'm also a music director and orchestrator. So my main gig though is writing. So I have several projects right now that I'm working on. Which this is for writing. This is actually not a bad time because
Okay,
there's sitting at home. What are you gonna do?
right.
As a music director, I was most recently the music director of A Strange Loop, which won the Pulitzer Prize,
Excellent.
and the cast album is phenomenal, cast recording, and anyone who hasn't listened to it should listen to it. It's really really great,
Brilliant.
if I do say so myself.
Excellent. Of course, as you should.
Yeah, and so how my first gig.
Yeah, your first theater gig. Like, how did you get into this?
Okay. Well, I mean, I was doing theater ever since like I was a little kid. I think my
Right.
first play was in my second grade French class. I played Le Petit Chaperon Rouge, Little Red Riding Hood.
That's the way to say this. Don't hit me with big words. It's
I'm
like
gonna hit you with the French, le
it's 7
français.
p.m. Okay, it's this is pandemic time, and we're about to go to bed now.
I
Okay.
know, I know. Okay, no more French,
No,
no more
please do.
French.
Let's just don't.
So and so I was taking piano lessons since I was 4, and I was acting in all the school plays and the community plays. So I was doing both of those at the same time. So anytime I would get a cast in a musical, I would come home, take the score home, learn the entire thing on piano, learn every little bit of the harmonies,
Mm,
could sing every part of it, which was very rare for like an 8-year-old.
yeah.
But I just found I just loved musical theater so much,
Mm,
and eventually I just kind of didn't see any other life for me but kind of telling stories through this medium.
right. Right. Excellent. And that actually, that eventually got the two of us together because we did an off-Broadway show together. Bella and I forgot the theater once
Bella
again.
and American Tall Tale at Playwrights Horizons.
There you go. Thank you very much. By
Yes,
Kristen Charles.
yes,
That I did remember.
yes.
Um, and as I said, so that's the breakdown. That's where you're coming from. You are an accomplished musical director. You're an accomplished composer. And what I'm doing here, what we are doing here, we're following up on this video I did quite some time ago now, where I was taking an entire hour plus to talk about subbing, the do's and don'ts of subbing, and what I thought would be interesting. Why I thought it would be interesting to talk to you today is because when it gets to subbing, I have one point of view, right? Which is, of course, coming from my station, from being the bass player, either as a regular who has to work with subs or as a sub who has to work with either regulars and subs. But
Right.
your vantage point is completely unique to you, being the musical director, the conductor,
Yeah.
and of course sometimes perhaps also the composer, because I would imagine that with your shows or the music that you write, sometimes you have to work with subs as well. So I thought that that vantage point would be an interesting topic to explore. um, so perhaps let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Subbing, what can you tell me about subbing? What can you tell me about working with a sub? What do you expect? What are you looking for? What's there to look out for? Give us your rundown.
Yeah. The number one thing is that I want the show to sound consistent every night. So I want to not even know that the sub is there. I want it to sound like the chair holder. And I don't want to ever like have my head turn and be like, wait, what was that sound?
Right, right,
Because I need to do my job of holding the whole show together.
right.
So any kind of new sound or is a distraction actually from me doing my job.
Right.
So I'm looking for consistency.
Yeah.
The more you can sound like that chair holder, the better for me.
Of course.
And then, of course, I'm looking for somebody who is very pleasant, who's
Right.
engaged while they're playing,
Right.
and who knows how to receive notes.
Yeah.
Um, that's a big one because you have to not get defensive, right?
Right.
You have
Right.
to, if I say, oh gosh, actually that was a little loud, or you actually came in a little faster than what I was conducting there, and they should just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll definitely get that next time.
Right.
Versus, oh, actually that is what you did, and like
Oh no.
I don't actually have time for
No. 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 No.
a back and forth here. Like,
Right. 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 Right.
yeah.
No, this for everyone who's watching this, who's listening in on this, it is important to understand that the conductor in a musical theater situation is the one person who kind of connects what's happening above the stage to what's happening below the stage, or wherever the orchestra is. Because I mean, that's the whole traditional idea of a pit being below the stage. That's not happening that much
No.
anymore. This
No.
is we're going into an era of theaters where perhaps there is no pit. Like with Bella, we very much we experienced that. They built us a room somewhere backstage, but there was no traditional pit as such.
No. I
So
mean, we were under the stage, but just not in the traditional sense. We were
uh, yeah,
we
I
were.
guess.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Here's the thing. What I remember is going in, but I don't ever remember going like downstairs. But perhaps the stage was above us, which
Yes,
is entirely
correct.
possible.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's So we were definitely. The point is that we were totally separated from the stage,
Yes.
and the conductor is the one person who connects, who bridges that gap, right? Who connects what's happening on stage to wherever the orchestra or let's call it the ensemble, wherever the ensemble is, right?
Right.
And as
Right. So
such,
a lot of times I'm watching the videos
right?
of what's happening on stage. I'm not
Yeah.
actually seeing with my own eyes what's happening on stage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. And you take cues, you're the one who translates choreography cues, who translates perhaps scenery cues into where you need to be in terms of the music, right?
Right.
So for you to feel confident with the ensemble, of course there are going to be subs. That's just
Right.
that's life. But for you to feel confident with the subs, they need to sound exactly like the chair holder. There can just not be any. There is no other way, really. At least from where I'm at. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's the same for conductors, but I would imagine so.
It is. It is totally the same for conductors. It's,
Yeah.
like if I have a sub, they're watching videos of me conducting and making sure they're doing the exact same conducting.
Oof.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. So, but as subs, you're not just learning the music. You're also learning. You're maybe hearing the lines that I'm
Right.
cueing off of, and so you're like,
Yes.
oh, when I hear the actor say this line, I know she's gonna cue me.
Yes.
You're always kind of ready.
Yeah. So it kind of it helps to. I had this conversation. I had a similar conversation with Sherry Rosen, who's the associate conductor over at the Lion King, right? And she put it in a way that I thought made a lot of sense. Like, not only learn your book, but learn the book of the person you're sitting next to,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Learn, and what you're adding to this right now is learn the cues.
Learn the
y-
cues.
learn the cues. Figure out when the scene moves further, when what's happening. Figure it out and learn if there are vocal cues, learn the vocal cues. They can be
Just like
really
you, yeah, just like you would learn like a coming off of a drum cue or
right,
any other cue.
right, right,
Just
right.
learn them all.
Yeah,
you know.
right, right, right. No, totally. The one thing that I would perhaps add to that is learn the cues, but understand that they might not be delivered the same way like you're recording.
Right. That was one time. That was a one-time thing. And you know that's the whole that's why we go see live theater.
Yeah.
Is because it isn't just a cookie cutter exactly the same every night. Although
Yes.
we strive for a certain consistency.
Of course. Of course.
We also know that energies of every single person involved are always in flux, and so therefore that creates the excitement of what theater is. And
Right. Right.
you're now a piece of that. You're a part of that.
Mm. Well, that's an interesting insight because that all of a sudden that comes back to taking responsibility. Right? Because all of a sudden you need to take responsibility for the fact that you are. I always call it, and I don't know. I probably had this conversation with you, previously, but I always see like my job as this small wheel in a
Yeah.
big machine, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden, what you're talking about is basically consciously realizing that you are that small wheel and taking responsibility for your job.
Right. And being totally in the moment.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think I've said this to you before too, is that especially if it's your first time subbing,
Right.
that you and I are totally connected.
Right.
I know you're listening
Right.
and I know you're following me.
Right.
And you, if you know you have a cue coming up where you bring in a song or something, you and I make eye contact before that happens. So we
Right.
both know. So I know, oh, I see you're with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you in. We're going to do this together.
Yeah.
We got each other.
Well, that's deep. That is really deep, and that's so important. That is so important. That's
Yeah.
oh man, that yeah, that
I mean,
just that
I do that all the time with all my players, no matter
yeah,
what. I just like, that's, to me, that's what's so fun about it is connecting with
yeah,
everybody in the moment.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
most
love to do
definitely.
that. Like, are we ready? All right, here we go. 3, 4. Have we done this 80 times? We sure have.
Been there. Oh
Yeah,
man, that's
yeah.
yeah, that does bring back memories. Oh, good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Now that's deep though. That's so. In other words, as a sub, of course, learn the show inside out. Learn your book inside out. Learn the book of the person who sits next to you. Understand the cues. Connect with the conductor. And I think that you're saying a big thing. Right there.
Yeah.
Connect with the conductor. Um, you are out there to help them.
Yeah, exactly.
You are out there to guide them.
I want you to do well.
There you
I
go.
really do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Just
yeah,
like
yeah.
in an audition with the actors, I want them to do well. I'm there to give whatever I can to help you do the best you can do.
Right, 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 right. Well, that's an important takeaway. That is a very important takeaway. The difficulty, of course, is juggling all of these moving parts. Like you have like all these moving parts in the air, and your focus can go at a moment's notice, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of distraction happening,
So many distractions.
and
Oh my
and
God. Even if your cell phone is near you and you see that you got a text message and you look over and in that moment is when you missed your cue. It can
yeah,
be that fast.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, totally. This is you need to be in the show, absolutely. So, there was something I intended to say. Let's see. There are so many moving objects, right? There's so many moving targets. Basically, there's a lot of distraction that can happen. it
Yeah.
it does help to realize that the conductor is there for you, right? It does help to realize that I need to work with this person,
Yeah. You don't have
you
to
know
feel like you're all alone, like you're an island or something.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Well, that's a big thing. I mean, that is a really big thing. And you, at the beginning of your answer, you started going into how people interact. So
Yeah.
maybe we can expand on that just a little bit, like in terms of socially interacting, in terms of you know being able to get along. Like what has your experience been, what that is concerned?
Yeah, I think it's just like everybody wants a good vibe in the pit.
Right.
And if you come in with some kind of weird energy, even if, I mean, and I understand you might be nervous,
Yeah.
you've got to do your best to master that and
Yeah.
just come in with an open spirit
Yeah.
and a willing spirit and a kind spirit. I think
Yeah.
that's what's key, and also like and you and I've talked about this before in another context, and being aware of other people's space and energy,
Yeah.
and you don't want to try too hard. You don't want to walk into the pit, 3 minutes before the show and be like, "Hi, how are you? Hi, I'm so and so. Nice to meet you." Like you can't do that either.
Terrible. I mean, in the good and in the bad way. Like this is giving me flashbacks. It's true. Seriously.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because light person, like, there's no true guidebook for this. So
Yeah.
we've all made some mistake along the way,
Oh yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. That's a big thing. I always liken it to being decent.
Yeah.
Being a decent human being, and a decent person, right? Of course, I always have this one story to tell, and I'll let you go. I won't keep you. But what kind of really kind of helped me incredibly, my first time subbing ever, and it happened to be the Lion King. So it was a big show at the time. The Lion King was 2 hours 50 minutes, 2 hours 55. It was damn close to three
Yeah.
hours. It was still at the New Amsterdam Theater. It had no click. From what there might have been like click on one song. Now there's click all throughout the show, right? Back then, nothing. This is 2005, something like that.
Yeah.
2005, 2006.
Yeah. Click wasn't really a big thing then.
Not really. Right around that time, Mamma Mia started, and that was like the
That
first
was it.
introduction of
Yeah.
like an entire show on click.
Yeah.
But at the Lion King, they still didn't have that. So that was my first show. It was a 3 hour heart attack. It was nerve wracking, and I was sitting there. I'll never forget this. This is also another thing that I want the audience to understand. You will never forget your first show.
Yeah.
Nobody ever does. If you're a sub, as a sub, you'll never forget that. So here I am, March something of 2005. I'm sitting in the pit, and I'm getting ready. I'm putting my instruments down. I'm checking the basses, upright, electric. I'm tuning everything. I'm making sure I got rosin on my bow. Um, I'm adjusting my headphones, got my mix in, whatnot. And of course, I'm getting nervous.
Yep.
It's just you're about, like, there's no way out. Literally,
That's it. That's it.
you're in there now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one guy comes in by the name of Robert Levin, and he was subbing himself on keyboard one. And he introduces himself, I introduce myself, and we strike up a conversation, and of course, I let him know, like, yeah, this is my first time ever done doing this.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and he said, "Oh, you're gonna be great." And that was it. That took all of that away.
Oh.
That took all of it away. That's,
Isn't that amazing? Just
yeah,
a couple words from somebody just to reassure you.
yeah, genuine,
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna be great. Like,
Yeah.
he meant it, he
Yeah.
felt it, he meant it, and he was not afraid to share that with me. He was not afraid to put that out there. So many times we get bombarded with bad news, or with bad stereotypical kind of stuff. Oh, you're gonna have a hard time. Well, that's not gonna help.
No. No,
But
that really doesn't.
but like a simple statement like, "Oh, you're gonna be great."
Yeah. It goes a long way. It
Yeah.
goes a long way. I always like to give a vote of confidence when a new sub comes in. And
Yeah.
then at the end of the show, they made it through, and we all applaud.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is really important. This is an acknowledgement of the work. It's an acknowledgement of the humanity of the
That's
person
what it is. You know,
who.
like I hate that feeling of like, oh, we're just all machines and we all just come in and do the job and then leave. No.
Right.
We're this like amoeba together. We're this thing together,
Right.
and we should embrace each other and support
Yeah.
each other. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you? And I'm sure that I asked you this, and excuse me if I forgot, but what kind of subbing have you done?
Okay. So I got asked to sub for The Fantastics when that was still running off Broadway.
Right.
I busted my ass learning that book. It's pretty hard, a piano book.
Yeah.
Sat in on it a bunch of times, and George, I never played the show.
No.
I kicked the can so long because I was so nervous. I never did it. So to be honest, and this is like a confession, I only wanted to get the job because I wanted to prove to myself that I could play that show.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
But
No, that's valid.
I did come take over a show for somebody up at Barrington. Actually, it was just only last year was the first time I did it. So that
wow.
was my very first time. I sat in the show the night before and I played the show the next day, and that was it. And it was scary, and it was all keyboard patches and not having any idea how my levels were, and just like winging a prayer.
Nerve-wracking.
Totally nervous. But again, like that pit was so kind. Every single one of them was like, I felt them there to support me, and the MD Mike Petrie was like incredible support. It was like a really great experience. And then by the third show, you're just like, oh, I've got this. It doesn't. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Exactly.
That is great.
Yeah.
That is the stuff that you can build on, right? And I find like maybe it has something to do with musicians and with the immediacy of our art form, of our output, that you kind of you play and then it's out there. It's not like a painting where you plan and you perhaps try certain things, or you make sketches or whatever. It doesn't really work that way with music, right? With music, you put it out there, it's out there.
And then it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. That's it.
Exactly.
That's actually a good thing to remember. Like, if you do make a mistake, you got to let it go. You got to let it go and stay in the moment. You can't, there's nothing you can do now. You missed that patch change. That's it. Let that shit go. You got to. Otherwise, then now you're going to sabotage yourself if you can't let it go, because now every single note you play, you're thinking about that mistake.
Yeah.
Now you're going to make more mistakes, and it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. Let me ask you that brings me to one question. What do you do? What do you do if and go take the answer as far as you want to take it. You don't have to, open this up, don't give away any trade secrets is what I'm saying. But what do you do? Like, how do you get people in if you feel like they're losing focus or they're not with you, and especially with subs, like what is it that you try to do to get their attention back to you? Because obviously, as I said in the beginning, you are the connecting piece.
Yeah.
You are the connecting person, I should say.
Yeah.
Between above stage and below stage. So what is it? What do you try to do to kind of get them back in? If you feel someone's energy, focus is, leaving, for whatever the reasons might be, lack of preparation or just nerves or whatever.
Right. Well, normally, you've got your little mic that you can talk to people, right?
Right.
And I will actually go on mic. I'll be like, hey, are you with me? All right, you're doing great. We got this. Stay with me. Just kind of try and build their confidence back up.
Yeah.
Maybe make a joke even. I'm like a jokester in the pit. I just try and make people, I'm pretty bad. Yeah. So I just want to make people feel good. I feel like people do their best work when they are happy and
Yeah.
joyful and not scared.
Yeah.
So whatever I can do to get somebody out of the scared place, then I will do that.
Right.
But I never berate somebody. I never beat
Yeah.
somebody up. And again, like I said, that mistake came and went. There's nothing I can do about if you made a mistake. Now,
Right. Right. Right.
nothing.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
like, and then it's just after and then if I recognize that you know you made the mistake, then I won't even bring it up.
Right.
If I don't recognize that you made the mistake, then I will bring it up, and not in a berating way. Just like,
Right.
oh, hey, you actually hit that button on beat 2 instead of beat 3. Make sure you catch that next time.
Right. 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 It's not the end of the
It's
world.
real. Nobody died because you hit a button on the beat 2. It's okay.
That's a perfect way of putting it. That is excellent. No, that is great. I mean,
You can quote me on that.
Yes, I'm sure people will. I'm sure I will. That is there's a lot to be taken from this. No doubt. Take it serious. When subbing, learn everything, know everything, and I just I don't want to make this about me, and I'm not the one who's being interviewed, so to speak. But the one thing that I do hear every now and then is that well, it's never gonna sound that way. It's never gonna sound like you. So I'm just gonna do something else. And the minute I hear that, I'm like, okay, dude, you're trying to hustle someone. You're trying to hustle me, and
Yeah.
that I don't appreciate. And sure enough, the one thing that I believe subs need to understand is that sure, you go in, you do a bad job, that can happen.
Yeah.
You won't get called back, or you have someone who perhaps gives you a second chance with an array of notes that you better
I've done that.
follow.
I've given
You
the
know,
second chance. I
yeah,
don't give the third chance, but I will give
right,
a second chance.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But in the long run, whether you succeed or not, it's the shareholders' butt
Yeah.
that is on the line, and that is something that I believe people don't really understand so much.
Right.
It really it might reflect badly on you, but it really reflects badly on the
Right.
shareholder if the shareholder brings in bad subs.
Which brings us a little bit to reputation
Ooh,
and how important reputation is.
yeah,
Because if you've been around subbing, if you've let people down,
right,
then word's going to get around. And
yeah,
you're not going to get called
yeah.
because people are like, oh, I don't think I can rely on that person.
Right, right. Because then
Yeah.
this is out of a very very real. I don't want to say fear because I don't. I try to avoid that as much as possible. But it's out of a very real um, understanding that I need as a shareholder. I need someone who I can rely on,
Yeah.
right? And if I cannot rely on you to do a good job and connect with the MD and be that person who sounds like me and all of that, um, then we're getting into trouble.
Okay.
All right, so we talked about a lot of stuff. Rona, thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights into subbing with us. Um,
My
yeah,
pleasure.
I really appreciate it. So,
Yeah, it's
and
a great conversation to have, and always happy to talk shop.
yes, most definitely. All right, take it easy.
Thanks, George.